Hello, it's a wet evening here in the nation's capital, and we're most delighted to bring you this edition of News Extra. It is a loaded package with stories treated to serve you viewing pleasure. Take me for my word if I tell you that the next 1.5 hours of your Wednesday night is bound to be just spectacular. Following confirmation by Senate, ministers have now been assigned with portfolios. Find out who gets what, or should I say, who is where. Remember that President Tinubu's policy that readily brings smiles to the faces of Nigerian students. That alone, we have the latest on it. In the face of the biting effects of subsidy removal comes the various means of cushioning the effect. We have already joined. And let me ask you this, have you already joined the bandwagon of those exploring conversion of vehicles to autogas? Don't miss out on that, as it could be beneficial to you, of course. We have a bit on health, winning the war against HIV/AIDS. The Nasarawa State example is in focus. We also get to know about the new national gender policy, which captures children and vulnerable groups. Artificial intelligence, what about it? How does it make you feel? Is it a threat to jobs? Join the conversation. There's much more on our lineup for tonight, so sit back and let's do it together. As you know, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Following the screening and confirmation of the ministerial nominees by the Senate, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has assigned portfolios to those that scaled through to form his cabinet for a smooth operation of his administration. Here is the full list of the ministers and their portfolios. Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani. Minister of State Environment and Ecological Management, Ishak Salako. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Bumi Tunji. Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo. Minister of State Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake. Minister of Tourism, Lola Ade John. Minister of Transportation, Adegboyega Oyetola. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Aniti. Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji. Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha. Minister of Women Affairs, Ojo Kennedy. Minister of Works, David Umahi. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. Minister of Youth, Abubakar Momo. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu. Minister of State Gas Resources, Ekperipe Ekwu. Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lopoberi. Minister of Sports Development, John Eno. Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Minister of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy, Hanatu Musawa. Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru. Minister of State Defense, Bello Matawali. Minister of State Education, Yusuf T. Sununu. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Hamid Dangiwa. Minister of State Housing and Urban Development, Abdullah Gwazo. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu. Minister of Environment and Ecological Management, Kaduna. Minister of State, Federal Capital Territory, Meriga Mahmoud. Minister of State, Water Resources and Sanitation, Bello Goronyo. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kiari. Minister of Education, Tahir Maman. Minister of Interior, Saidu Al-Khali. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate. Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Yedam. Minister of State Steel Development, Megari Amadou. Minister of Steel Development, Shuaibu Audu. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Latif Fagbemi. Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong. Minister of State Police Affairs, Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim. Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Yisalo. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsev. Minister of State Agriculture and Food Security, Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. Moving on now, Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured that the Tinubu administration remains committed to deepening democracy in the country. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that the Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he received the leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
The beauty of democracy is about inclusivity, and Vice President Kashim Shettima said the Tinubu administration is strongly committed to deepening democratic values. He commended the role played by the Inter-Party Advisory Council towards ensuring that there is stability in the polity. The Vice President told the delegation that the President has a lot of regards and empathy for Nigerians, as the government has a robust plan towards addressing economic challenges facing the country. National Chairman Inter-Party Advisory Council Yaba Gisani congratulated the Tinubu administration on its inauguration and expressed the readiness of the council to support the new administration. Inter-Party Advisory Council is for national unity, inclusivity and dialogue. Yaba Gisani said opposition parties need to contribute to the progress of the country.
As political parties, we want to be on the same page with them. Indeed, we are on the same page with them, because they are from us. There is no actor in the field, the political actor in the field that is not from one political party or the other. And we want democracy to survive. We want democracy to progress. We want Nigerians to begin to feel that dividend democracy that we normally say. That is why we are here. And Mr. Vice President promised us that we are going to have regular meetings with him so that we can further deepen democracy and Nigerians to have more confidence in the growth of democracy.
He affirmed his trust in the ability of President Tinubu to transform the country. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
In a bid from the oil and gas sector, NNPC Limited and Afrexim Bank have signed a commitment letter in term sheet for an emergency $3 billion crude oil repayment loan. The signing, which took place today at the bank's headquarters in Cairo, Egypt, will provide some immediate disbursement that will enable NNPC Limited to support the federal government in its ongoing fiscal and monetary policy reforms aimed at stabilizing the exchange rate markets. Now, the federal government is exploring options to ensure poverty is reduced drastically in the country. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, engaged the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria as he played host to him in his office. Kenneth Nanim was at the meeting.
Poverty alleviation is one of the priority areas of the federal government, especially with the recent removal of fuel subsidy and its economic impact on citizens. Therefore, collaboration with the Republic of China in this regard, the SGF says it is the right step in the right direction.
We do apologize for the loss of audio in that report. Do watch out for it subsequently. And we have cheering news for Nigerian students. The federal government has given assurance that the students' loan scheme will take off this year at the commencement of the 2023-2024 academic session. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education David Adejo Andrew stated this before the House Committee on Students' Loan and Higher Education. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikmin reports.
The Students' Loan Act, signed into law by President Tinubu, is one of several policies to ameliorate harsh economic realities by supporting families to sponsor tertiary education of their wards. This interface between the House of Representatives and the Presidential Technical Committee on Students' Loan is to iron out gray areas and eliminate hurdles towards a smooth implementation of the scheme.
Are you sure by the next academic session, starting November, this program will commence?
So what we are saying, and that is what gives us comfort, I want you to have that comfort too, that yes, it might not be 100% catchment, but the loan is going to start in the 2023-2024 academic session.
While the Students' Loan Act proposes 1% of all profits accruing to the federal government from oil and other minerals, as well as internally generated revenue to fund the scheme, the lawmakers propose an increase to 3% to grow funding.
When we are able to have an idea of how much you think the student loan scheme will need to be realistically effective to cover the student population we have in the country, then we can begin to talk about a supplementary budget for this.
It's federal government that is proposing it. So it may just well be that we will only be targeting the funds of the federal government, so that we do not have issues with local government and states suing and saying that no, it's your business, you should handle it, and that also further reduces the funds that will be available.
I want you to make sure that the access you are talking about, process flow, make it as seamless as possible.
The Presidential Technical Committee assures that the Students' Loan Scheme will be ICT driven from disbursement to refund. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The world is going digital and a lot of businesses and government activities are run virtually. A positive effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, you might say. Well, the National Assembly thinks it is time the courts join the trend. It is therefore about to reintroduce a bill that seeks to legalize remote hearing or virtual court proceedings in Nigeria. The bill, among the various constitutional alteration bills rejected by the 9th Assembly in 2022. Ignatius Nkwo will tell us more.
The outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020 became a Pandora's box. It threw up a number of innovations. Virtual engagement became the order of the day. The National Judicial Council adopted virtual proceedings, hence physical meetings were suspended at the time. That also threw up questions on the scope of Section 33, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which did not provide for virtual court proceedings in Nigeria's legal system. The answer was to amend that section and include remote hearing of virtual court proceedings, which could be through Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, or any other electronic platform.
It goes with the society, the demands of the society, the changes we are seeing in the society.
The bill became part of the 68 proposed amendments to the 1999 Constitution. Unfortunately, it was rejected.
I think it's very important we have such an act introduced in this country because if you look at during the period of COVID, there are quite a lot of things that were not being able to be done.
With a new assembly in place, some of those rejected bills will be making their way back to the legislative mill. The Remote Hearing and Virtual Court Proceedings Bill is expected to be one of such returnee bills.
I want to tell you that it's one of the issues we are going to look at in the 10th Assembly because it's very, very important. It makes the job easier, both on the side of the judges and on the side of the lawyers. So, and in the developed world like US and other countries in Europe, that is what they do.
It is not a novel thing. It's something that has been done in other places. And I remember very well in few cases that I was involved in, virtually in the US, where on a Saturday, for instance, and an emergency comes up, and you need to have a judge on, either to whatever it is that you need the judge to do for you, and then you do it virtually.
Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Ignatius, for that report. Allegations have emerged surrounding the downing of a Nigerian Air Force helicopter NAF 582 with foot soldiers of a notorious bandit leader being implicated in the incident. These allegations have raised concerns about the resurgence of terrorist activities and the efficiency of NAF air platforms. Defense correspondent Najat Tijani reports.
Sources indicate that a notorious bandit leader known for his brazen attacks and involvement in criminal activities may have been responsible for the downing of the crashed Mi-171 helicopter alleged to be NAF 582. While the investigation is ongoing and no official confirmation has been provided, preliminary findings suggest that this incident may mark a disturbing escalation in the capabilities of criminal elements within the country. The allegations are also coming on the heels of the governor of Niger's condolence visit to the Nigerian Air Force, as well as a viral video which online communities have interpreted as confirmation of the incident. In response to these allegations, the Nigerian Air Force has maintained that a thorough and impartial investigation is being conducted to determine the cause of the helicopter's downing.
Despite all our commitment, our dedication, and the efforts that we are putting at eradicating these security challenges, we have a couple of issues that bother us. The fact is that as long as we operate, as long as we fly airplanes, there will be incidents and accidents. But on our own part, we are not folding our arms and just living with the challenges. The ideal is to strive for zero incidents and zero accidents in any operational environment.
The outcome of this investigation and the subsequent actions taken will shape Nigeria's trajectory in the ongoing battle against non-state actors. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Now let's shift attention to the Niger crisis. The sanctions imposed on Niger by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is taking a toll on lives and livelihood of citizens of that country. Let's get details from Adebola Brooksland Sunday.
About 2 weeks ago, leaders of ECOWAS, a 15-member regional bloc, and the West African Economic and Monetary Union agreed to impose economic and financial sanctions on Niger in response to the unconstitutional power change. The sanctions, observers say, have left the landlocked country with minimal power supply, as Nigeria, whose supply accounts for 70% of Niger's electricity, cut off supply in line with the ECOWAS sanctions.
The power cuts are affecting our work. I must finish audio edits, but I can't do it.
In Niger's capital Niamey and many other cities, people are struggling to cope with the constant and long-term power outage, while streets and neighborhoods are getting used to being plunged into darkness for hours.
People are forced to buy torches, generators and so on. But in order to use them, they have to buy batteries, fuel and maintenance. These are unforeseen expenses that will affect the purchasing power of the population. This can cause inflation at the level of economic agents.
In addition to the impact of this to daily life, people are also worried about what the implication of the power outage will be on the country's economy.
We used to work from 8 a.m. to midnight, but now it's impossible. We have an average of 1 hour and 30 minutes of electricity a day, and it's very difficult to be productive in such conditions. Since Nigeria cut off the electricity, our sales have gone down. We try to work with a generator, but we can't use it for long hours because it's expensive, since we have to buy fuel regularly.
On July 26, the military in Niger detained President Mohamed Bazoum and chose Abdurrahmane Chiani, former leader of the country's presidential guard, to lead the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland. The council, a governing body established by the soldiers after the coup, has been exercising legislative and executive authority. Adebola Brooksland, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu shares in the joy of celebration with family members, friends and associates of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida as the former military president turns 82 on August 17, 2023. President Tinubu congratulates the former military president, who had served in many capacities in the Nigerian army with distinction and reached the peak of his career as Chief of Army Staff with indelible legacies for his gallant defense of our nation during the Nigerian Civil War. The president affirms the contributions of General Badamasi Babangida to national development, which include the creation of many states to strengthen the federal structure, physical infrastructure, the liberation of the media industry, and other initiatives across the health and defense sectors. President Tinubu notes the influential position of the former Nigerian leader who has, after 30 years outside of power, consistently remained a voice of wisdom and counsel for many political leaders, both within and outside Nigeria. The president prays for well-being of General Babangida and his family. With a strong woman in the mold of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, in the vanguard, pushing their interest, women in the country must take a cue and join in ongoing efforts to fix Nigeria. Former First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan made the submission when she paid a solidarity visit to the current First Lady at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo has more on this and other engagements of the First Lady.
Her visit is the first by any former First Lady to the villa since the coming of this administration. And to the delight of our host and the current First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, it came with a lot of solidarity and support.
I've come here to encourage you, to support you, because we are one country and our country must move forward.
Nigeria needs rebuilding, and to make the journey faster, women as a critical segment of the society must lend their support.
I know that my sister can carry the women along. She carried the women along when she was a governor's wife. So when she's a first lady, the sky will be her limits. She will carry us along and she will move us forward. We Nigerian women, we should come out in mass and support this government.
The First Lady was a grateful host, acknowledging the support of our guests in words and deeds.
I want to also thank her for all the support and the tips she's always given over time. So thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Earlier, she had granted audience to the executives of the National Council for Women's Societies in Nigeria, led by the National President, Hajia Lami Lau. They were in her office to explore areas of collaboration that could further promote gender rights and full empowerment of women.
And because whatever
daunting as the current challenges facing the nation are, the First Lady says all that is needed to navigate the hurdle and move the country forward is the ability and will of Nigerians to be compassionate.
Nigeria is already in the map of the world. It's just only a question of time for us to really rise up in our prosperity that God has blessed us with to show the world that Nigeria is a great country. And I believe that mothers here, that is what we do.
It has been a wet day here in the villa, but not strong enough to dampen the spirit of the women who, after having about 25% women in leadership position in the kitty, are still craving for more.
We are hopeful that this interaction today will not only be enriching but also forge new partnership towards the actualization of gender agenda, ending all forms of bias and discrimination and violence against women and girls.
Registered in 1958 as a non-governmental organization, the Council has remained a non-partisan voice of women in the country. In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
And from Women Affairs, we tilt a little to political matters. National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has played host to the Forum of Former Directors and Secretaries of the 2023 Tinubu-Shettima Presidential Campaign Council. Saliu Wanara reports that members of the forum have pledged to carry on with the task of propagating the renewed hope agenda.
It has been a busy moment for the All Progressives Congress National Working Committee under the new leadership of Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. The latest visitors, having been members of the think tank of the Tinubu-Shettima Presidential Campaign Council, are here to renewed commitment as ambassadors of the renewed hope agenda.
The salaries of civil servants and public servants is too small, even before the removal of palliatives. And governments are making efforts to improve the salaries for workers. That is a long-term effect.
That this
group of ladies and gentlemen that have worked tirelessly to contribute its quotas by bringing in power this administration, that we are still able and willing to carry on with the tasks that we have started until the end.
The president's similarly, the Director General of Confederation of APC Support Groups, Kailani Mohammed, says their familiarity with the Renewed Hope document is an advantage for members and supporters to positively engage the public on the plans of the current administration.
The government, they are not sleeping. They are not resting on their oars to see that everything goes on well.
I use this opportunity to crave the patience and understanding of youth nationwide on the current economic situation.
The group acknowledged youth as critical partners towards building a progressive nation. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
We take some time out now. Join us again as we shine the spotlight on orphans and vulnerable children in post-insurgency era. Thinking of joining the bandwagon of those eyeing the option of conversion from petrol to auto gas amidst fuel subsidy hardship? Then you must not miss our next segment on NTA. Orphans and unaccompanied children occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgency have over the years been an issue of concern to stakeholders on how to rehabilitate, educate and improve their lives for a promising future, as they have indelible roles to play in societal growth. Pauline Kujevana takes a look at lives of orphans and vulnerable children in the post-insurgency recovery phase in Borno State.
From infancy through childhood, it is mandatory for parents, guardians, government at both local and international levels to take care of, defend and protect children against all sorts of violence, famine, conflict, disease outbreaks and every kind of humanitarian crisis. Age-long facts reveal that children have been in the primary category victims of wars and armed conflicts across the globe. With the Boko Haram insurgency that broke out in Borno State for more than a decade, which later spread across the entire northern region, there was an alarming record of more than 2 million displaced children, including orphans and unaccompanied, from the affected areas, whose lives and future needed to be secured through special care.
Child rights law was demonstrated because government is trying to save the children so that they should not be abused. Those children that came orphans, vulnerable children, and unaccompanied and separated children.
Spirited individuals, governments and non-governmental organizations have been doing a lot in this regards to better the lives and secure the future of the displaced children in the state.
We have 200 school children who are schooling orphans in Kano, supported by the Kano state government, the Borno state government, and our partners who are working under the Child Protection or AR. We are able to reform the life of the children.
While many philanthropists from within and outside the state have also demonstrated the spirit of humanity by shouldering the responsibilities of catering for some of the vulnerable children in the state, Borno state government on its part has taken care of their education by building mega schools across the state, enrolling the orphans on both boarding and day schools.
Children that have been affected by armed conflict, they are traumatized, they have seen their parents killed, their teachers murdered and their classrooms burnt. So they need rehabilitation, they need to be enrolled in schools.
The state government is trying and has reached out to many children who are affected by the Boko Haram conflict and have imposed a policy on free education so that they can access it.
No nation can boast of better and secure future without putting that of children in possible perfect order for their good and the good of the nation. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Well, with such gestures, their future will definitely be bright. There is nothing as painful as waking up one morning in an internally displaced person's camp without any idea of when to go back home. That is increasingly becoming the tale of many Nigerians. Recent attacks in Mangu local government area of Plateau State and its environs have made many residents of the area IDPs. Well, as bad as their situation, there is hope. Hope is actually not lost. Caleb Goshin will tell us more.
Large number of the victims converged on the community hall in Mangu as early as possible, expectant of the goodwill from the Senator, Diket Plang.
For the mass of people gathered here, their challenge can only be imagined. For most of them, they have no shelter. For most, if not all, they have to depend on goodwill like this provided by the Senator to survive.
Since May, it is people that they are feeding us. I that I'm standing here, the clothes that I'm wearing is not my own because I did not escape with anything.
Senator Diket Plang expressed concerns about the security breaches and wondered why such should happen to a people known for peace and tolerance to all.
Crises have a devastating impact, not just on the affected community, but the generality of Nigerians. I pray that this crisis will never surface again. But as a representative of the people, I will stand by them all the time.
Opinion leaders from the area commended the senator for worthy representation.
God answered our prayers. We've been, following your activities on daily basis.
Come to Mangul Market and you see the number of trailers that go out with maize. Next year, that one will not be there. That is when people will know that yes, the attack on the Moravian nation was an attack on the people of Nigeria.
300 widows and youths also benefited from the senator's gesture through acquisition of skills in information communication technology, ICT. At Pangshin, relief came to over 200 women and youth drawn from Pangshin, Kanke and Kanam local government areas, trained in soap making by the Federal Polytechnic Okana in Akwa Ibom State. Senator Diket Plang assured them that he has lined up a series of programs that will make women and youth to be self-reliant. Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Thank you, Caleb. Are you aware that there is a national gender policy designed to address traditions, customs and stereotypes working against women in Nigeria? Well, there's more to that. The policy has now been reviewed to capture children and vulnerable groups which were initially left out. Let's hear from Momso Damien Darty.
The policy actually has key policy thrust. It wants to end discrimination. It wants to end gender inequality, gender injustice, gender imbalances in both socio-economic and political and cultural contexts. And more importantly, it seeks to mobilize resources that are technical, human material, and financial resources in order actually to, ensure that there is actually gender integration or mainstreaming in our budgeting, gender mainstreaming in our decision-making processes affecting the lives of all.
Having reviewed the policy, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs mobilized gender desk officers from diverse ministries, departments and agencies here in Abuja to evolve strategies that will facilitate its implementation.
It's one thing to put together a policy document to give direction in a particular sector. It's another thing to sensitize the stakeholders to understand what the policy contains, what is expected of them to do, and what they should expect from their customers in designing programs and projects within the MDA.
The overall goal here is to build a just society where women, girls, and vulnerable groups will enjoy equal rights and opportunities. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
It's good to know that we're beginning to promote the rights of women. In continuation of the statewide distribution of palliatives, Governor Maimala Boni has flagged off third phase of distribution of palliatives to vulnerable households in Jakusko, Yobe North Senatorial District. UNICEF Sulaiman reports that 400,000 vulnerable persons are being targeted across the 17 local government areas of the state.
Ahmed Shatta is a person with special needs, while Hajar Ado is an elderly woman, both from Jakusko local government area of Yobe State, who are living below the poverty line and were among the 3,000 beneficiaries of the state government palliatives. They express gratitude over what they call timely food intervention, considering the hardship they are passing through in putting food on the table of their families. Flagging off the distribution of the palliatives for Yobe North Senatorial District in Jakusko, Governor Memala Bunira presented notes that more interventions are underway and charged the beneficiaries to utilize the items meant to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal.
I also wish to ask the beneficiaries to avoid the sales of the items and ensure that they put them to proper use to alleviate the suffering of their dependents.
The Executive Secretary, Yobe State Emergency Management Agency, Mohammed Goje, who gave a total breakdown of the multi-billion naira palliative, says the agency has since adopted a holistic approach towards reaching out to the targeted 80,000 households across the state.
Each of the beneficiaries will go home with at least 10 kilograms of the food basket that will be distributed here.
Prior to this event, the government in the state had already launched some initiative in Yobe East and South senatorial districts, and the gesture will be extended to the remaining 40 local government areas of the state. In the metro, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Are you planning on converting your petrol-powered vehicle to auto gas? Well, in light of current realities, such vehicles may soon flood the highways across the country. In this special report, Abdul Salam Jibril finds out more about the conversion process.
See that is economical, why not? I will convert mine. Because it's not easy buying a liter of oil for 650 naira, 620, 650. It's a whole lot of money.
Like 12.5 kg cylinder, it can cover you 140 kilometers. Which the highest price 12,000 plus maybe. So unlike petroleum that it may cost you a lot.
From the information I gather from people who are doing that, I think it's very economical.
Some car owners there eager to convert their vehicles to auto gas due to the impact of subsidy removal. This is one of such vehicles powered by compressed natural gas (CNG). Haruna Momo insists that it is both cost-effective and cost-efficient for transportation in Nigeria.
Petrol, the tanker used to fill it with 10,000, 11,000. It take me to Kaduna Road, it take me back, it take me to Kaduna Road, it take me back, it finished. So with this one now, the Economic is the most perfect economical driven vehicle I have ever seen.
Jelani Aliu, Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, says government-approved conversion centers abound across the country.
There are a number of places around the country that you can take your vehicle to be converted, depending on the engine size. It can be anywhere between, 300,000 to 400,000 to convert a vehicle to CNG. Now, that is converting the vehicle. Now, we're also working very closely with the manufacturers themselves, Innoson, OMA here, and even for three-wheelers, TVS, so that you can actually buy right out of the factory a vehicle that comes out already running on CNG.
Only thing is that you just make sure that you maintain all the safety regulations and rules and tips. Otherwise, there isn't much implication. Besides, the engine actually functions a lot better because gas is cleaner. It's a cleaner fuel.
With fuel prices above 600 naira in many parts of the country, CNG-powered vehicles might just be the alternatives many Nigerians are yearning for. In Abuja, Abdul Salam Jibril, NTA News.
Well, Jibril, for all the drivers and prospective drivers, this is indeed a good news. Gone are the days when immunization was looked upon with suspicion and rejected outrightly in certain communities. As we are now told, more parents are embracing the immunization exercise against killer diseases in Kebbi State. Usman Abdullahi Shehu has been monitoring the exercise and has an update.
And 5 years and below in Kebbi State are currently benefiting from the national immunization exercise against the 6 child killer diseases. These include measles, yellow fever, BCG, hepatitis B, and polio.
I'm very happy I came with my baby for the immunization exercise. It's a welcome idea. You can see many women are here to ensure good health for their children.
Unlike in the past, health personnel are getting cooperation from parents, as evident in the number of children who turn out for the exercise across the state.
We have outreach and we are conducting all of them here.
The Executive Secretary, Kebbi State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, says the immunization is also targeting 2 major areas that need urgent attention.
Our indices for immunization coverage have improved seriously. For instance, in 2018, our coverage was reported to be at 10.6%. But when the survey was repeated again in 2021, our immunization coverage has risen to 55%.
He enjoined other parents, especially in the rural areas, to take advantage of the exercise while it lasts. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Still staying with health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention and its collaborators say they are determined to ensure an agile, robust and responsive health security system in Nigeria. They're meeting for 5 days to examine the progress made so far, identify gaps and design strategies towards a safer and healthier future for Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the gathering is Nigeria's second joint external evaluation.
Evolving national and global health threats prompted the World Health Organization in agreement with its member states in 2005 to develop and adopt the International Health Regulations, which mandates countries to build and sustain the capacity to prevent, detect, assess and respond to public health risks and emergencies. This is monitored through a joint external evaluation.
We'll use the outcome of this JEE tool to identify where are the gaps, where do we need to put the money first, where do we need to put our energy first.
For us to be able to evaluate the progress that have been made with the investment through Retise, we chose to use the JEE indicators as our result framework.
In all this, WHO reinforces its commitment to support this important GE process and the subsequent results and action points.
Nigeria has, in the face of challenging diseases outbreak, progressed from 39% in 2017 evaluation to 46% in 2019's mid-term evaluation, all thanks to commitment and resource mobilization.
The assessment outcome provided us with variable insights that have since guided our national strategic planning and resource allocation, resulting in enhanced coordination and a more robust health infrastructure.
This progress now needs to be sustained across all sectors with investments and strategies, especially to increase state-level capacities. We aspire for political ownership of the health security process, but more importantly, in that subnational space that everyone has highlighted as the next frontier for investment.
This exercise, carried out once in 5 years, promises health security in Africa at large through adequate data for the implementation of the principles of multi-sectoral engagement. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Thank you, Uche, for the updates. What do you know about the green economy? The potential in the green economy beckons in our next part, just as correspondent examines artificial intelligence and threats to jobs. To stay with us.
It's a little harder.
Thanks for staying with us. With available white-collar jobs not enough to cater for the teeming population, it is expected that transition to green economy will create additional 8.4 million jobs by 2030. Now, this, the United Nations says, can happen if young people are given the opportunity and as the clock continues to tick with 7 years to go. Olayin Kaujo in this special report takes a look at what young people are doing towards achieving this vision.
Today, we see young people aspiring to join careers that have positive impact on the environment. And at different fora to mark International Youth Day this year, it was all about equipping youths with skills for the green economy.
Have an intersection between what you do, either you are an engineer, a tailor, a caterer, whatever you do. Have a way to intersect it with an eco-friendly practice.
Prioritize new initiatives and new ideas for better development and better sustainability.
Look inwards. The solution to your challenges are here in Nigeria.
Going by United Nations statistics, 60% of young people do not have necessary skills to thrive in the green economy by 2030.
Let today serve as a reminder that young people are catalysts for change. They have the support, skills, and the freedom they need to lead us to a better tomorrow.
We have to develop our national skill anticipation system for young people to see that, okay, in so period, there are some skills that will be needed.
Esther Oyewale is a 300-level student studying education, fine and applied arts at the University of Benin, who ventured into turning waste to wealth.
I'm doing waste to wealth because I was thinking of how can I create art and solving problems together. So I thought, okay, I can pick fabrics from my environment and create something beautiful out of it. So that was when this came into my mind.
Even though the United Nations report says the green transition will favor male-dominated youths, for some experts in youths, there's the need for a scale-up of action that will increase youth employment, not just in Nigeria, but the continent at large. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
With effective management, we will definitely meet the target before 2030. Thank you, Olayinka. In Nasarawa State, there is a community with a rich cultural heritage, but the people at the moment are cap in hand for a key substance to be unlocked. Abdullahi Mohammed reports that this substance is tamed in its backyard with huge potential for agricultural production. Abdullahi, out with it.
With dotted water springs around the city of Lafia, I put it on the table that the land of solid minerals could also be gifted with pools of wonders. Before I could seal my lips, someone challenged me to go to Doma, an ancient city south of Lafia. There, he says, water is tamed in millions of gallons. We took up the challenge and headed to Doma. No hand seems to be idle here, and the two were critical in moving one of the series of cash crops produced across the emirate. Melon in abundance, and so other cash crops. Something somewhere behind their backyards could have helped them produce all year round, but it is tamed in one place, with all its additives laying fallow. By 1985, about 37.5 million cubic waters was successfully trapped here, and around 1990 the whole construction around it was completed. As at then, only 20% of this water was activated for the supply of drinking water to Doma community. A lot of the equipments that were meant for the subsequent activation of other components of the dam has been abandoned. Look at here, 4 generators left idle. A tank which is supposed to be supplying diesel to this generator is also lying down idle here. But again, if we go further here, you can see that there is a massive land, about 2,000 hectares of land, that is waiting for this water to be activated and supplied for irrigation for farmers. You can imagine the kind of food that these farmers across villages here will produce.
There was the initial laying of several pipes and discharge points for agricultural purposes during the dry season. We were also lucky to have the essential equipment for dry season agriculture in place. So we end up only benefiting from the over 2,000 hectares only during the rains.
Doma is just one among various other places in Nasarawa State with the ingredients and hands to fill the gaps in food security. You may be wondering how we made our way
across the dam and the massive farmland. A step away from our trucks, our wheels stopped. To God be the glory, a tractor came handy. In Doma, Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
And that's our explorer, Abdullahi Mohammed. Thank you. Now let's talk business. Musa is ready to dish out all the updates in the world of business.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NIT, says that the federal government must deploy technology amongst other initiatives to curb oil theft in the country. The executive secretary of the agency, Dr. Oji Obunaya, said this was part of recommendations contained in 2021 NIT industry report to be released soon.
Deal with that report. One of them is on installation of metering infrastructure to measure accurately the quantity of crude we produce. The other one is all the oil wells that were decommissioned. Government should do away with them to fully close them and decommission, because when companies abandon oil wells, there are still a lot of oil inside, and in trying to scoop the oil, they spoil the environment. The other one is a lot of engagement with the host communities who see oil theft mostly as their own avenue of having access to the natural resources in their domain, and they may not necessarily see it as stealing. So we need to engage them, to put them, and then again address aggressively the challenges that those host communities are facing in terms of social infrastructure, jobs for their children, their hospitals, provide them with infrastructure in their areas, because if you visit them, they are all in a very pitiable position.
The federal government says it's ready to showcase Nigeria's inherent investment opportunities for the mutual benefits of Nigeria and Japan at the Expo 2025 Osaka, Kasai in Japan. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Evelyn Ngige, stated this during a courtesy call by the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria and representative to ECOWAS, Masunaga Kazuyoshi, to the ministry in Abuja. Dr. Ngige stated that Nigeria will continue to strengthen partnership with Japanese investors and take advantage of the Expo 2025 to showcase the enormous investment opportunities in Nigeria. There are 51 Japanese companies currently doing business in Nigeria, while there are 150 Japanese living in the country. To capital market equities market extend bearish sentiment to midweek. The all-share index shed 0.47% to close session at 64,928.98 points. A total of 280.4 million securities valued at 4.6 billion naira exchange hands in 6,296 deals. Today's data shows 8% improvement in volume, 10% improvement in turnover, and 7% improvement in deals. Market capitalization declined to 35.3 trillion naira. Now there's a quick look at business news. Elizabeth, is back to you.
Thank you, Musa. To equip and improve existing knowledge on administrative procedures, the Nigerian Television Authority has commenced a 2-day workshop for zonal directors, general managers and officers from grade level 13 and above. Francis Udojo has details of the training.
NTA, the largest television network in Africa, does not only have a wider reach in terms of broadcast, but also human resource. Management of the NTA is very keen in building the capacity of its personnel, and this is the whole idea for organizing the 2-day training.
I didn't study administration, so it's the first time I'm really being exposed to full-fledged administrative training, so I know that I'm going to change.
We have news, we have programs, we have engineering that we are all organizing to be the head one day.
Is going to acquaint participants with the rudiment of administration.
The training, segmented into administrative procedure and managerial notables, organizers say is among the many dimensions taken by the NTA to effectively and efficiently deliver its mandate to Nigerians and the world at large.
The current thinking of management of NTA is that we should expose our staff early enough so that together we'll be able to achieve, this global, best practices that we are aspiring to.
If the personnel doing the work are well grounded in what they are supposed to be doing, all the other members of their team will follow suit. You will find out that things move on smoothly.
In a landscape characterized by evolving challenges and dynamic demands, the significance of streamlined administrative procedures cannot be overstated. These procedures serve as a bedrock upon which the edifice of our operations rests.
The training is simultaneously holding in the 7 NTA zonal centers across the country. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
One of the reasons why we lead in the media world. Former President Muhammadu Buhari has acknowledged the efforts of the traditional institutions to preserve the rich historical values, monuments and artifacts of the people. This was when he visited the Emir of Daura, Umar Farouk Umar, and had a tour of historical artifacts of the legendary Bayajida kept in the palace. Husseini Suleiman reports.
The former president's visit to the Emir's palace was in respect for the royal institution. The Emir Farouk Umar, who received the former President Buhari, said history has placed the palace on a higher cadre, not only in northern Nigeria but in Africa because of its rich history. He took time to explain some of the artifacts used by legendary Bayajida by Wakilin Tarihi Abubakar Magaji Pada. They were also at the Emirate chambers as well as cemetery of late Daura emirs. Former President Muhammadu Buhari appreciated the Emirate hospitality as well as commitment in keeping history for generations to come. Earlier, the former President Muhammadu Buhari received the newly deployed Brigadier General Padairo of 17th Battalion. He solicited the support and cooperation to perform optimally. From Daura, Hussein Suleiman, NTA News.
Now let's take a break. This is News Extra. Commuters and vehicle drivers are having hard times crossing the failed portion of the Bauchi-Gombe Road since major washout on sections of the road last Sunday. Emmanuel Akila gives us an update on the situation.
For 4 days, civil engineers have been working hard to restore the failed portion of the Bauchi-Gombe Road washed out last Sunday.
The road links most of the states in the northeast sub-region to other parts of the country.
From this road, you can go to Port Harcourt. From this road, you can follow and enter Kano. It's very important. Let them do something.
With few days break by the rain, the flood water has receded, providing alternative access for vehicles assisted by youths in the area to cross over to either of the sections, while the passengers trek to catch up to continue on their journey.
We ply the road on a daily basis, but every raining season we encounter problems of washouts. Fixing this road is preferable to any palliative measures to reduce our economic hardship.
Articulated vehicle operators have parked because they cannot risk taking the vehicles into the alternative route. And because of that, they have stayed here for 4 days counting their losses.
It's good. Over $1 million, you just waste just like that, and which is very bad. Let us help on this road. We truck drivers are suffering in this road.
They lost. Only me, I'm counting. And if you count this truck, the truck on the line here, we are more than 30. You understand me? And the 30 of truck on the line, we can see at least 20 to 27, they are on goods.
That the road will be ready within 72 hours. We're on plan, and the road hopefully will be open by night.
So we expect that by tomorrow, Thursday, this road should be accessible.
Yeah, by tomorrow morning, people will be on the road.
The road has now extended its elastic limit or design limit. It's up to 50 years. If you can observe the ash part, even the material that you construct the road is an old material. So we need a modern one that people will enjoy it. Even as you see the culvert, they designed it based on the volume of the water before. But the level of the water now is higher.
The recent washout at Kalchanga village is an addition to the two notorious washouts at Bara and Tashanturmi villages that have subjected motorists and commuters to hardship for years. Looking at the condition of the two black spots, road users have expressed fears of another major washout as the rainy season is just at its peak. From Kalchanga village on the Bauchi-Gombe road, I am Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And for many years now, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has been a thorn in the flesh of many motorists plying the road due to incessant gridlock caused by the ongoing road construction. This narrative is however changing with hitch-free vehicular movement on major parts of the road, as more lanes have now been opened with some sections of the project nearing completion. Joel Bokwola reports that the pace of work is being intensified to ease the pain of road users.
Like the light at the end of the tunnel, hope of each free vehicular movement along the Lagos-Ibadan corridor is gradually becoming a reality. The road, which had become a nightmare for motorists due to constant gridlock, is gradually becoming a jolly good ride, thus reducing travel time.
It not be like before. Actually, from Tollgate here, it's still okay small. We want the people to even help us.
Alausa Secretariat Junction, an area prone to traffic congestion, is witnessing a relatively ease-free vehicular movement with the completion of repairs on most parts of the corridor. With only a few kilometers left to complete the Alausa-Otedola corridor, effort is being intensified to ensure speedy completion. Meanwhile, at Otedola Bridge and surrounding areas, it is a jolly good ride.
A couple of months ago, I was in traffic between Alausa Secretariat Junction and the Bega section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway for 2 hours. This should have been a 15-minute journey. Now that the construction has been intensified, the situation is gradually changing.
The situation at Bega axis is however different, with only a few lanes open to traffic in view of the ongoing construction.
I don't know why they are working on the road partially. Why can't they just work on it over the night, like do a large part of it over the night, instead of having to split it into 2 halves, because it's causing traffic.
Of course, government is working. The roads are being improved, but the traffic is still very tight, especially morning flow into Ireland and then coming back in the evening.
There's a lot of improvement. They are trying. Very soon, I know that the hold up will be over.
More workers have been deployed to Bega axis to hasten the rehabilitation for more lanes to be open to road users. And the expectation is that with huge construction moving out of the Lagos corridor, the distance between Lagos and Ibadan will be drastically reduced. In Lagos, Joel Bokwola, NTA News.
Thank you, Joel. Hope light at the end of a tunnel, indeed. The Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, says it is not in the know regarding the recent video being circulated in social media showing a train derailment from a vandalized section of the train lines of the Abuja to Kaduna train services. A statement by the manager of Abuja to Kaduna train services, Pascal Nolly, explains that the track being circulated does not belong to the Nigerian Railway Corporation. He notes that the track in circulation is double track and only the Lagos-Ibadan section of the corporation's standard gauge is dual track with daily train operations with no record of vandalism. NRC assures its passengers across the country of adequate security as it is working closely with security agencies in making sure passengers and rail facilities are secured. And it's time to join Ayodele Makinde for some sporting stories.
Nigeria and Turkey improved on existing diplomatic ties in Abuja with assurances of supporting the country's mandate to host 2024 Paris Olympics qualifiers for Kano in Abuja. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Ismaila Abubakar, represented at the event, commended the initiative by Turkish experts to offer medical and technical support to the championship in November, saying it is in line with FG's drive to have more private-public partnerships in sports development.
For any organization that keys into sports, that decide to sponsor sports, there is a rebate, for the organization.
They help us a lot and they promise to help us for the November activities, which is a very good sign for us.
Nigeria Rowing, Canoe and Sailing Federation was awarded the hosting rights by International Canoe Federation. Elsewhere, Nigeria's under-18 female handball team will participate for the first time in the Under-19 Africa Women's Youth Nations Championship, scheduled for September 16 to 23 in Monastery, Tunisia, where they have been drawn against Guinea, Algeria and two-time champions Tunisia. Group B have defending champions Egypt, three-time finalist Angola, DR Congo and Morocco. Moving on, 160 junior golfers from 20 clubs in Nigeria are currently participating in the 15th edition of IBB Junior Open Golf Championship in Abuja. The championship, which is an annual feature on the calendar of the golf club, targets the development of the sport among children at an early age.
Our intention is to pick the best for the year. And we call the person picked a champion.
The young golfers aged 7 to 18 years are competing in three categories of 7 to 11, 11 to 14 and 14 to 18 years over the next 3 days. In football, England will play Spain in the final of the FIFA Women's World Cup Down Under on Sunday after the three Lionesses overcame co-hosts Australia 3-1 in the second semi-final on Wednesday. With sports updates, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
And that's News Extra today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. To have a sound night rest.